A married couple and their little daughter live in terror of the neighbor's dog, and things take an unexpected turn when the dog decides to bite the girl. So today on Cinema Recapped, I'll show you human animals.
The film begins with Fabiola and Roy, who are quietly eating their lunch while talking to their daughter Teresa. Later, Fabiola was about to go out with her daughter when suddenly a dog scares them and causes Teresa to start crying. Meanwhile, Roy was working when one of his neighbors, named Chava, asks him to stop working and to play basketball with him. He agrees and they both play and have a drink. Then we see Fabiola coming back from the store and Roy sees that she bought a repellent for dogs and he tells her that she's been overreacting. They were about to argue, but at that moment the neighbors arrive, bringing a vegan dessert for them and also inviting them to dinner that night. However, the couple says that their daughter is afraid of the dog, and the neighbors ask if they can leave the girl at home, but the couple says no, because she is still too young. Chava says that he will lock up the dog, although her partner, named Anna, doesn't seem happy with the idea. At dinner, while they wait for the food to be ready, Chava begins to talk to the couple about how he met his wife on a pig farm. He also tells them that he became an animal protection activist, because in that farm he saw how animals were mistreated a lot, cutting off their ears, tails and removing their teeth without anesthesia. They start eating when suddenly the dog comes out of where he was supposedly locked up and scares the girl, so Fabiola gets angry and she, along with her partner and the girl, leave. The next day the girl was playing in the yard when she notices that one of her toys disappeared. She goes to look for it and realizes that the neighbor's dog has it, and he's biting it, so she tries to hit him with a rock, but the dog bites her on the arm. Then Fabiola arrives and takes the dog off her by rubbing him with the dog repellent. At the hospital they tell the parents that the girl will have to go to therapy to regain the mobility of the arm. At that moment the neighbors arrive, so Fabiola gets angry and complains about the damage that the dog caused to her daughter, but the neighbors say that the girl attacked the dog first, and that the repellent also hurt him, so it begins a great discussion that leads nowhere. Then Roy contacts an old friend who is a lawyer, to help him get rid of the animal, but the lawyer gets authorization to euthanize the dog. This makes Roy think about whether what he did was right or wrong. That night there is a blackout in the house, and the next day when the technician repaired it, he told them that the incident could have been caused. The couple then goes to ask a neighbor if they notice something strange at night, and he tells them that he saw Anna in their house that night, so the couple complains to these neighbors. Chava, who is at home, apologizes for what happened, saying that his wife Anna has not been feeling very well lately, and also tells them that they are going to move soon. However, when they return home, Roy realizes that someone has blown the tires of his car. At night the family begins to hear strange noises outside, so Roy decides to go take a look, leaving Fabiola and the girl at home. Roy starts looking everywhere until he reaches the neighbor's house. Meanwhile, Fabiola answers the phone and the lawyer tells Fabiola that the neighbors are actually using false names, so they must be careful with them. Then, Fabiola decides to take a knife and take her daughter to a different room. Roy keeps looking at the neighbor's house in the dark, when suddenly he sees the neighbor with a dog mask. He stabs Roy in the knee, causing him to fall. Fabiola was locked in the room with her daughter when suddenly someone tries to enter, but she defends herself by stabbing the stranger's hand. She gets scared for a moment, but then she hears her husband, so she opens the door to let him in. They realize that they don't have a cell phone with them, so they decide all together to go down to find the phone. However, they run into the neighbors, who are wearing dog masks. They say they want justice, and that it will be tit for tat, so just as they lost their dog, they will lose their daughter Teresa. Then Roy asks Fabiola to escape with the girl while he is trying to stop the neighbors. The neighbors make another wound on his other foot, so that he can no longer walk and tie him. Fabiola and the girl run to another neighbor's house and knock the door. However, since there is no answer, Fabiola tells her daughter to enter through a hole in the door, and when Fabiola was also about to enter, she is grabbed by Chava, who ties her by the neck and drags her. He takes her back to the house with Roy and Anna stays watching them, while Chava goes to look for the girl at the neighbor's house. But when he gets home he realizes that the neighbor is there with the girl, so he asks him to hand over the girl, and he will not do anything to him. The neighbor refuses and fights Chava, hitting him and knocking him unconscious on the ground. Meanwhile, Anna gets impatient because her husband doesn't return, so she decides to go look for him. Then, Roy asks Fabiola to escape by herself because he is injured and cannot walk, but Fabiola does not want to leave him there. The neighbor and the girl were escaping when suddenly Anna appears, and cuts the neighbor's neck. The girl runs, and manages to escape. Then Anna goes to look for her husband, and wakes him up, asking him to go watch the couple as she goes to look for the girl. Chava goes to Roy and Fabiola, and they ask him to stop all this nonsense, but Chava tells them he wants justice, and then shows them some things he prepared, like an electrocution machine and dog repellent, because he plans to make the girl suffer the same pain that the dog suffered. Then Roy asks Chava to untie him just to have a drink and he agrees. However, Roy manages to start a fire and burn Chava's face. In response, Chava turns on the shocking machine and shocks Roy to death. At that moment Anna arrives with the girl and looks at everything that happened, so she begins to scold Chava for having killed Roy, because she wanted the couple to suffer first when they saw the girl die. Anna goes to heal Chava in another room, and Fabiola takes the opportunity to tell her daughter to untie her. At that moment Anna arrives and Fabiola hits her with a bottle, knocking her down. Fabiola takes her daughter to a room to hide, while Chava discovers what they did to his wife. When he sees his wife on the ground, Chava takes a knife and goes in search of Fabiola and the girl, but when he finds them, Fabiola defends herself with a hook, sticking it in his neck. Fabiola and the girl were about to leave the house, but Fabiola decides to return to finish killing Chava, who was bleeding on the floor. When she was coming back to the car, she realizes that Anna was no longer on the ground, so she gets scared and runs to look for her daughter, but she and the vehicle were no longer there. We later see that Fabiola contacted the police, but they couldn't find her daughter. Then we see Anna in a new place with a new appearance, who treats the girl as if she were a dog locked inside her house. The end.
If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to continue receiving the recaps of the best horror movies. My name is TC, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.